Secretary Howard Lutnick, who joins us live from the White House right now. Mr. Secretary, great to have you with us.
What a great day for America, isn't it?
It is a great day. If you take a look, though, at the pre-Liberation Day close on the S&P 500, we're still lower from where we were then. And we did suffer, not only declines in the equity markets, but also, some crazy moves in the fixed income markets. Did the market reaction cause the administration to rethink its tariff plan?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. The tariff plan for the president, look, he's trying to fix the fundamental trade imbalances that have been going on for this country for 35 years. I mean, we were just in the Oval Office, and he said, I don't blame China. I blame the people who sat behind the desk in the Oval Office for letting this occur. It is time to take back the ability to trade with America, and Donald Trump is leading the charge to do that.
We understand that. That certainly has been the administration's, thesis this whole time, Howard. But at the same time, we had Wall Street, your former compatriots, come out raising the odds for recession, lowering price targets across the board. There wasn't any element of that feedback that entered the thinking, because some would posit that if Mr. Trump and the administration actually listened to Wall Street and took a look at the reaction of the financial markets, the global markets for that matter, they would find solace in what the administration is doing.
Look, President Trump made it clear that he's got to reset trade. He's got allies and foes, both friends and foes. So what happened is we have so many countries who want to do deals with us. It's just not possible to talk to all, over 75 countries coming in who want to redo trade, who are taking a good hard look at their trading, their rules, their non-tariff trade barriers, their tariffs, their subsidies, their currency manipulation. They're finally willing to say, we'll make a better deal with the United States of America. Can we just have the time to do it? And the president listened to them. And of course, China took the exact opposite path. And you see what's happening. So if China's going to take that opposite path, the president's going the other direction. But for all those countries who wanted to work it out with the United States and make sure they create a fair trading model for the United States, President Trump was ready and willing to sit down with them and make a deal with them. And that's the position we're in now.
According to reports, you met with the various bank CEOs over the past couple of days, and they all expressed their reservations about how the policy was playing out and the impact on the markets. I'm curious, because you've worn that hat as well not too long ago, Howard, and would you think that a 90-day pause would cause businesses to then resume spending, resume deals, resume their activity as they had planned to do at the beginning of the year? I mean, is that enough to sort of spur them to get back on track?
I think it is clear. People want to come and build factories and reshore their production in America. That's why the president talks about the huge commitment of building in America. So the companies are going to come back to America. The fact is, these countries understand that it was time to rethink the way they trade with America,
but I'm talking
rethink
about
the way
US
they trade with China.
U.S. businesses just doing business here, in terms of, for instance, Walmart pulling its guidance. I mean, what will give do you think a 90-day pause is going to give companies enough confidence to actually give guidance, to be secure in how they're planning for their businesses for the year, headcounts, CapEx, et cetera?
I think it's important for companies to understand that the countries that they do their business in matter. If you do business in China, or you do business with a country that basically is just a proxy for China, that you're going to have to deal with the fact that President Trump does not think we're being treated correctly. But if you're doing business in other countries, really understand the country you're doing business in, understand their relationship, and push them to make sure their relationship with the United States of America is fair and correct, and that will be good for business. So what you're going to see is the greatest set of announcements of companies going to build in America. And of course they're going to build in America. That's what's happening. And you're going to feel it all across this great nation. People are going to build in America, and the job creation in America is going to be fantastic. You just have to let Donald Trump drive the car, drive the ship, drive the plane, however you want to call it. Donald Trump is in charge. He understands how to do this. and no one could do it better. And that's just what the market told you today. I understood they doubted it. I understood they were uncertain, but that's what you get. Never bet against Donald Trump.
Mr. Lutnick, Mr. Secretary, does the administration feel that every trade deficit by definition means we're getting ripped off or losing? I mean, I would submit that we could be getting ripped off sometimes, but a trade deficit in and of itself doesn't mean we're losing. By the way, I know you know this. We're 5% of the global population. We're 30% of global GDP, so it's really hard to say we're getting totally ripped off.
Well, you have to look at things like Europe, right? Their population is bigger than ours, right? Their GDP is a little smaller. Why would they have a $235 billion trading surplus with us? Why would we have a deficit with Europe? It's not the cost of production. It's not the regulatory framework. They're the same, if not worse, than we are in every way. It's because they're not having fair trade with us, and that needs to be addressed. So what happens is everywhere the leadership of the United States blinked before, some country came and used it as a launch pad to do business in America. I mean, why is Europe doing so much business with China? Because it was basically a tariff arbitrage. Sell to Europe and have European companies then sell to us. So the idea is let's end that. Let's call it for what it is, which is Chinese companies. They do business through China. They do business through Vietnam. They do business through Thailand. Come on, they do business through Malaysia. We've got to really address it the way it is and say we want fair trade. We want to be treated the way we deserve to be treated. And that's what's happening now. So we have tariff, 10% tariff around the world today. And we are calling out China because they are going in a different direction. We're going to work with each of these countries, and we're going to come up with a great deal for America, and hopefully a deal that they think is appropriate. And off we're going to go for the golden age of America. It's coming now. You feel it now. Finally, someone is behind the desk in the Oval Office who's going to protect America and the world. And it's coming now. And I tell you what, it feels great.
Mr. Secretary, I guess the question on how we are focusing on country by country, and you talk about bringing jobs back to America, there's some sense, and please clarify this for me, are we trying to reindustrialize America? And are we also looking to have a trade balance? Well, I mean, it seems to me we industrialized America 150 years ago, and that jobs went overseas because it was more efficient to do that. And we're also at record unemployment. So I'm just trying to understand how all this makes sense together.
So we can't be a nation that invents everything but has everything built somewhere else. Eventually, you become subservient to the people who build things for you. If you make nothing, but all you do is think about it, then someone else will be the builder. And if you also allow these giant trade deficits and you let yourself have budget deficits, what ends up happening is the rest of the world also owns you. In 1980, we owned more of the rest of the world than they owned of us. And now the rest of the world owns 18 trillion net more of the United States than we own of them. So 60% of our GDP is now owned by outsiders. It's time for that to be right-sized and fixed. We're going to reshore great industrialization, bring back those jobs here, and we're going to strengthen America so that America plays the right role in the world and is not just the biggest consumer who overspends and eventually is owned by the rest of the world. That is just not going to happen. My grandchildren had a great day today because my grandchildren had a great day when Donald Trump was elected president. That's what's changing. It's America for the long term of America. Someone had to do it, and you're feeling that's what's happening now.
When you talk about reindustrialization, Mr. Secretary, what do you want to be made here? I mean, how do you envision that manufacturing economy, of the future? Are we talking about bringing back textiles, T-shirts, sneakers, home goods, appliances? What?
Everybody always talks about these silly things.
Some would argue that those are lower value goods, and you want those goods to be manufactured abroad so that the United States can manufacture higher value goods.
And who's going to work those jobs?
So let's just go through this. So you have TSMC, right? So semiconductors. If you think about what is a semiconductor, every button you push means it has a chip. It may not have the newest chip that's in an iPhone, but it has an old chip. Your microwave oven, your refrigerator, your alarm clock, everything's got a chip in it. And that chip is all made in Asia, right? Taiwan makes virtually everything. Taiwan is 81 miles from China, and China has said we're going to take it over. Imagine if China went and took over Taiwan, and every single thing that we want to produce that has a plug, that has a button, is now owned by China, and we have nothing. It is outrageous that we've allowed that.
That's a national security argument. There's no national security argument for bringing back.
All right. Well, how about pharmaceuticals? You got a problem with pharmaceuticals? You don't have a problem with pharmaceuticals. How about steel and aluminum? You have a problem with steel and aluminum, right? You need all these things. And what's happening is you need to address it in bulk. You need to address the fact that we can't sell a car in Japan or Korea or Europe. You know, it's just so blatantly unfair. At some point, our economy, our farmers need to be able to sell corn. Our beef, our ranchers need to be able to sell beef. We've got to have the world stop taking advantage of us to the tune of $1.2 trillion and have our economy unleashed and be unshackled, finally unshackled. Our farmers have no idea what it's like to actually have a full world to sell to. Our ranchers, our seafood, and our fishermen, they have no idea. These will be fundamental changes. That's why Donald Trump says, make America great again. That's why he says, bring back the golden age. It's really allowing the United States of America to sell its goods to the world. Mm-hmm. We're only selling them to ourselves, really. We have a $1.2 trillion trade deficit. That means everybody else sells to us, and we're not allowed to sell to them. Doesn't that seem unfair to you? If you're in business, doesn't that seem unfair when he unleashes America on the rest of the world and gets fair trade with the rest of the world? America's GDP will grow, our jobs will explode, better jobs, higher paying jobs. That's the point. We shouldn't be growing our GDP 2%. We should be growing our GDP 4 and 5 and 6%. And no one's ever thought about it, and no one's ever tried. And that's what we're doing here, and that's what Donald Trump is doing. And we are all of us who work for Donald Trump, we are his spokesman, but he is the driver. And don't get confused. Donald Trump is the driver of the policy. He authorized just the other day to negotiate. He authorized yesterday, and he came out with this policy today. And there was not the policy before then.